Modoff leads, Macbeth chases, and Espinosa quietly stalks them both. The fight for the crown still leans in favor of our current champion, but things have not been going his way in the previous two rounds. Contact with other cars have scuppered his chances to keep up his winning streak, but it's not prevented solid finishes from our Club West driver. For the fourth race in a row, our competitors face a track with incredibly high speeds here at Spa, and it's anyone's guess on how it'll play out. We ourselves will find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing eSports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Nick, Spa gives us quite a few more corners than we saw over in Italy, but no less of the speed.
Yeah, absolutely. With that speed, we will go from northern Italy last week at Monza and travel to eastern Belgium this week at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. If you're not brand new to motorsports, odds are you know about Spa and the daunting nature of this brutally challenging venue. It's 7 kilometers of being on edge, 4.35 miles of every little movement of the car having a serious impact on your race, 19 turns that are notorious for sending cars out of line and off track. Spa has gone through multiple changes in the past, from its humble beginnings as a 15-kilometer street circuit into what we have today. That track that we do have today is the same one that hosts events like the 24 Hours of Spa for GT3 fans, the Belgian Grand Prix for Formula One lovers, and most fitting for tonight, the WEC's 6 Hours of Spa. The elevation change through Eau Rouge might be the most famous turn in all of racing, but don't let that distract you from the chaos that ensues, from the Kemmel Straight down into the Lacombe, down the hill, eventually into fast sweeping turns like Blanchimont, and then back up the hill to the famed La Source hairpin. Most people relate the word spa to rest and relaxation, but to get a better look at the exact opposite, let me send you down to the track for the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we're in the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Spa. Coming down to La Source, this can be a good place to try and overtake, but it's very sharp in this corner. It makes the early laps when cars are bunched up a big risk to trip over each other. Plus, you might want to save your pass attempt until after this corner, because as we accelerate down the hill towards Eau Rouge, you're going to see a much better opportunity if you just show some patience. Though Eau Rouge and Radillon are marginal in the GTE cars, it's still very high speed. Make sure not to get a cut course penalty as you come over the crest, and now we hit the Kemmel Straight. Overtaking is so much easier if you just blow by them on the straight with more momentum. Plus, you've got the heavy braking down into Lacombe to help you get the job done. You won't track out fully though, because Malbody comes right after the chicane, and you've got to hold left to give yourself a nice wide arc. This is the highest part of the circuit, and now we start heading back downhill with Rivage. Passes can sometimes happen into here, but it's terribly easy to outbrake yourself. Everyone's going to be fighting some understeer with its off-camber nature, but they've also got to get set up quickly for no name. This deceptive bend catches people out frequently when the car snaps loose and they slap the barrier on the left. From here we approach Puhan, which even with the paved runoff is kind of frightening. It's wicked fast, downhill, and has 2 apexes. Plus, if you lose it and have your car stop mid-corner, there's a good chance someone could plow into you. Finally, we're at the bottom of the valley. Vanier sees the occasional overtake, but it's really a medium-speed chicane, so outbraking your opponents is harder than you'd expect. It's also easy to get an off track on the exit by getting on the power too soon. Immediately you come up to Stavelot. This first apex can be kind of important because you obviously don't want to find yourself in the gravel. But the second one is the one that leads onto the backstretch, where if you hesitate on the power, you'll be very, very vulnerable. Even though there's some curves, none of them require lifting, so you'll be straightening them out to keep from scrubbing off speed. The real trick will be nailing Blanchimont because you can't quite take it flat out. And it'll be dangerous to let the car straddle the curb of the AstroTurf to the outside, since it'll be easy to spin it. You've got no time to rest now because you're coming up quick to the bus stop. This is a very popular place for passes, but it's also super common to blow the corner completely and wind up in the runoff. Smart drivers will make sure and stay tight to the first apex and set up a good exit onto the pit straight. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Spa. Our lap guide, thankfully, recorded on one of the more rare sunny days here at Spa, at least sunnier than we've got for today's race. But as always, today's race is brought to you by SIMMSA. The Simulation Motorsports Association is a sim racing platform created by experienced racers. Established in 2015 and supported by the International Sim Racing Federation, the association is bringing together organizations and communities to further promote sim racing globally. Concentrating on all sims worldwide, they offer a focused opportunity for sim races to compete with each other. They also provide consultancy services to this growing esports world. SIMMSA offers solutions for racing simulator requirements and custom-built simulator parts, as well as complete customization and upgrading of existing simulators. You can find them at SIMMSA.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Frazier Deeter. Frazier Deeter is a nationally recognized PCAOB registered CPA and advisory firm headquartered in Atlanta with thousands of clients globally. It provides a wide range of services, including tax, audit, advisory, internal controls, and transaction support to achieve each client's unique financial goals. With offices in Alpharetta, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Nashville, and Tampa, Frazier Deeter has consistently been named a best of the best CPA firm by Inside Public Accounting and is ranked among the top 60 largest CPA firms in the United States. You can find them at FrazierDeeter.com. Let's take a look at the championship real quick. Nick, we've got pretty much the same person up top, but from there it's gotten fascinating.
Yeah, after Monza last week, it's starting to kind of stagger out. As you can see, there are some very interesting increments between them. You've got Macbeth 15 points back and 25 points back. Andres Espinoza has moved up into third. Flores stays in fourth, but he's another exact 10 points back. And then 43 points back is Christian Eisler with that Team Bushfink Racing BMW. He's fallen back, but that is not to distract you from the team championship, because that is also getting quite interesting on that side of the competition. Things are shaking up very interestingly. The CRT guys have moved back into second. That's Modoff and Clark. They're still trying to chase down the Speedworks Racing Team North. That's Macbeth and Revito. But just their consistency up in the top 10 has put them up there by 14 points. The SRT Team West has fallen down to third with Tremblay and Flores, 10 points further back. The East team has moved up. They're sitting very handily in front of Team Bushfink Racing. Talking about Perez and Eisler falling back earlier. They've got some work to do if they want to stay in this championship hunt.
Eisler certainly had another poor round back at Monza. He never seems to have much luck when it comes to his racing. Let's take a look at the race details for today, though, here at Spa. As we mentioned, we are in round 5 out of 10. They will have a drop week. That's what you see there with that little droplet. The worst point scoring of their season will get dropped from their total points, just to allow any sort of real-world things to not affect their championship as much. 45-minute sprint race today. That means you can expect one pit stop. That will be a talking point. We'll go over that in a minute. They have open setup on the cars so they can tweak them to their liking. The reason they have that pit stop is, of course, they've restricted the fuel compared to what the real GTE cars can load up on. They also have an incident cap. That's also going to be a problem and a worry here for our drivers today at a track like Spa. They can be disqualified if they go over that. They have no spare car to save them out there. So this race, once again, brought to you on the iRacing eSports network. If you want to catch more of this season, as well as other official World Championship races on the iRacing eSports network, all you got to do is subscribe. There's a big red button on their YouTube page that says that. Click that. You'll get all that stuff in your YouTube feed. Taking a look at how qualifying is going so far. Abner Acosta actually has turned out to be faster than Zach Hefner today, but much like we saw at Monza, I suspect we got a few drivers maybe trying to use a little bit of draft and finding some time that way, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of places you can definitely draft here and gain a huge advantage getting the runs into some turns. We'll take a look at Montini now.
Federico just working his way through Lacombe and sits fourth in the timing sheets. Now, I mentioned that pit lane and how that is a talking point. This is the endurance layout of Spa. And for our viewers who aren't familiar with the different versions of Spa, Nick, maybe explain kind of where that makes the difference.
Yeah, so the endurance layout might be one of the most, I think it's the most daunting pit road that you have to deal with here, because it's the longest. You have to start all the way back in the normal GP layout that you see guys like in Formula 1 use coming out of that late chicane. It doesn't spit you out in front of La Source, though. You have to wrap all the way around it going up to Eau Rouge. It's a very long pit road, and a little mistake will cost you there. That does, however, move the start-finish line later to the hill right before Eau Rouge, out of La Source, instead of the other side of that.
And oddly, the finish line is also in a different place as well. It comes out of La Source, and then the drivers will finish up, or excuse me, out of the bus stop chicane, and the drivers will finish up there. So something to be aware of when it gets to the end. Tyler DeZube, who was our winner last round, apparently having some trouble in qualifying. He's got to hustle back out if he wants to get one more lap in, because that wreck certainly sent him back to the pits. This is on board with Borda, who is heading down towards the famed Eau Rouge right now. I mentioned the incident points, Nick. Where are the biggest spots where you think the drivers might be racking up today?
Well, right through there, Eau Rouge, I think, is a big one. A lot of guys are going to try to hold that as flat out as possible. But, you know, Spa is really known for its off tracks. You know, you have a lot of Twitch streamers deeming it Spa-Francorchamps off tracks for a reason. And you have that long downhill section of sweeping left and right turns. That's the very scary part, down through Blanchimont and No Name and all those turns down through there, through the valley section. Just because your car is so easy to lose a little bit of grip, you're going to slip and slide over the curbs just a little bit.
Watch JT Costin come across the line. Let's see if this one's going to be faster than that 2:12.5. It is, and that goes from 22nd. Actually, no, he winds up in 22nd due to that. Now, on screen, we had Carl Modoff a little bit earlier. He's yet to set a time. That's another pitfall as we watch Hefner. Another pitfall of the off tracks here is it will discount your lap. Hefner sits in second on the front row outside of Acosta. Let's see what he can do. Let's hope that Modoff will be able to get himself a timed lap in before we run out. It's coming down to the end. And that one is not going to be faster for Zach Hefner. So he's still got to improve those 0.2 to catch Acosta.
Yeah, the last couple of rounds, it seems as though we've seen Modoff kind of wait towards the end of qualifying to get up there on the board, and that's really the one he likes to strike. A little bit more risky here, though, at Spa. These are 2 minutes and 10-second plus lap times here, so not a lot of room for error late in the game.
Pablo Valenzuela comes across. That one not going to count, unfortunately. So let's go to Modoff. He's towards the end of the lap. This is coming up towards Blanchimont. Hopefully stays within track bounds this time. Let's see how he keeps it. Is it tidy? It's off the apex. Well, I don't know. That was suspect. Through the bus stop. We'll find out soon enough if this one counts. He keeps it nice and clean on that final corner and across the line. It's a 2:10. That's good enough for second place. Wow.
Just like that.
Last moment. Fernando Borda, as we weren't watching, moves to third. Hefner back up to fourth. This is Lucio Vargas in 26. He does have a lap time in, but he's well down the order. 38 seconds left on the clock. He crosses the line. What's this one going to be? Looks like that one not going to count for him, unfortunately. Joey Trungale from Texas. Ooh, it's a little wide coming into the bus stop. He's currently sitting well down the order, though. And this one is his fastest lap, a 2:12.8, so that bumps him up just a little bit up to 30th.
Looks like we have a pretty big field here today as well, 39 cars.
And checkered flag is out. This is Justin Rame coming across the line. Let's see if this one is an improvement on that 7th place. It looks like it is not to be. Jorge Flores. Oh, Jorge Flores to the pole with his final lap. And he is a 10th up on Acosta. The lap times keep getting lower and lower. Macbeth improves to 5th. Espinoza then pushes him out of that P5 immediately afterwards. Gilmet comes across, and I didn't quite see if that was an improvement for him. Mike Richter's on his last opportunity to try to improve. He crosses the line at a 2:12.8. And Federico Montini, unfortunately, not going to be able to improve because whatever happened here at the end, he's cruising across the line. And we're going to check to see how Costin can do. Sits in 22nd. Oh, well, that one's certainly not going to count. He knows it. He pulls off to the side. Immediately following him through up to the bus stop. He's all the way down on 34th. This is definitely not typically representative of Corey's speed. So as he comes across the line, a 2:13.9 for him. The last one across, and unfortunately unable to improve. That's going to be our starting grid. So let's go through your starting order. Jorge Flores manages to bump himself all the way up to the top spot ahead of newcomer Abner Acosta. He was fast last week, not fast enough for win. What does Spa hold? Carl Modoff will be on the inside of row 2 and 3rd. Fernando Borda will be P4. Andre Espinoza starts 5th. He's high up in the championship. He's going to hope for more good results today. Sean Macbeth, who sits 2nd in the championship. He will be P6 on the grid. Last round's winner, Zach Hefner. Not as good at qualifying here as he was at Monza, where he took the pole. He'll start 7th. Federico Montini will be 8th. Then Jean-Marc Tremblay begins in P9, top 10, rounded out by Justin Ream.
Row number 6 is going to go to the Hoosier in the number 74, Ben Perez. And he's going to be alongside of Leif Peterson in 12th. Tyler DeZube, past winner in the series, along with Christian Eisler. They are back in row 7, and they've got some work to do to get back up there to that winning standard of theirs. Dan Rovito going to be behind him, rounding out the top 15. He's going to be alongside Pablo Uribe in the 23 Ford in row 8. 17th, going to go to Pete Broaden, and Josh Daniels will follow with Jerome Bertum in the 217 and Tyler Gilmet in the 555 in 20th.
Correction for myself. It was DeZube who won last round and had the pole, not Hefner. Brett Thurman qualifies 21st with JT Costin 22nd. Daniel Rooney will be P23 and Maxi Sorella 24th. Kenny Rodriguez starts 25th. James LeBlanc, could you know better than P26 with Lucio Vargas starting behind him in 27th, Mike Richter 28th. Then it's Hugo Galaz starting 29th with Manuel Paredes in 30th.
Rodrigo Munoz will follow in row 16. Joey Trungale in the 106 to his outside. Cristobal Valenzuela, Corey Clark, and Mike Cray will be the last of the 35 drivers to set a time. And behind them, it's going to look like it's going to be Danny Duchesne, Gary Schilling, Giuliano Romagnolo, and Scott McClendon rounding out this large field.
That's Romagnolo. We've had him in. I know it's a weird looking one if you're not used to it. But Giuliano's raced with us in Autobahn a few times. Glad to see him jumping over here into the PRL GTE Sports Car Series. So they line up behind the Porsche pace car. Wait for everybody to bring their car up. Going to be a rolling start. Now, the pace car will release them at the bus stop chicane as it pulls into the pit lane. Last time they actually started before they got to the line on the run up to La Source. We'll see if it's the same today, or if they'll wait until they circle their way around the hairpin and down the hill where the actual starting line is. Just a couple more cars waiting to come out. McClendon and Romagnolo, the last of them. It is a very dark day, but it is a very cool day. 66 degrees track temperature, so should be nice and grippy on the circuit. Not too much wind out there as well, and nice cool 49% humidity in the air, so shouldn't be too bitter of a cold. Working their way around Blanchimont now, up towards that bus stop chicane. Curious to see if Flores is going to gun it as soon as that Porsche pulls in, or if he will wait. To his outside is Acosta, probably wanting to redeem himself with a victory. Off into the pit lane, the pace car goes. Flores a little bit behind here. It is tight through that chicane. He's pulled a little bit ahead, but they have not gunned it quite yet. Waiting for everybody to come through. Everybody stacking up a bit, not wanting to get caught out. Getting left behind. Flores circles La Source. What does he do from here? Waiting and waiting. Now he gets on it. Green flag is out here at Spa-Francorchamps for round 5 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series. They're mostly single file by the time they hit Eau Rouge. You can see them streaming up and over that crest. Question is everybody going to make it through on the first run? I'm seeing no problems so far. Already streaming down the Kemmel Straight.
3 wide for the lead. All the way on the inside is Modov, Acosta on the outside. They're going to go for it. And they're good so far.
Current champion Modov slips into second place just barely, though. He's chopped off at the apex by Acosta. He's challenged, though, down on the inside towards Rivage. Flores trying to get that P2 right back. In fact, I'm sure he'd want to get back up to P1, and he solidifies it. Still side-by-side action between Macbeth and Borda. Macbeth comes out on top, takes P6. Frantic action as they hit Puhan, but so far, I believe it's been clean.
Looks that way. Looks like we might have a bit of a 4-car breakaway for the lead. We've seen that a bit here in the past. Acosta streaking away from Flores.
And looks like Paredes had a bit of a problem into Puhan. Found the wall. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But you're right. We see a little bit of a stretch away, both from those 4, but also the leaders separating themselves from each other. Acosta half a second ahead from Flores. Macbeth is giving chase to try and see if he can reattach himself to that front group. They now accordion back together into the bus stop chicane. This can sometimes cause problems in itself, especially on this first lap. Most are going single file, a few cars trying to go side by side, but otherwise mostly clean, except for a few cars spinning their tires. They already hit La Source. Acosta still retaining that lead as they complete the first lap.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw a few drivers struggle to get through there. A couple of guys really badly spinning their tires, but nothing too major.
3 wide last time, and look at the run that Flores has. He's already got the slipstream defensive move to the inside from Acosta. He's going to make him go the long way around at that first apex. Flores not feeling too aggressive today, though. He backs out of it. Oh, and a problem for Tyler DeZube, who falls down the order. I think he had a cut course penalty from the flashy heights of a win to now struggling to stay inside the top 20 as he fights side by side with Thurman. He's got the inside into Rivage, and he tries to come back at him, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to claim it.
Oh, that's so tight through there. They got to be so careful. You can see them getting up on the curbs, trying to use every little bit of this track that they're allowed to.
Thurman moves into 20th now. DeZube keeps Rudy from overtaking him. He's the gray Porsche you see behind the orange Ferrari of DeZube. Going to go on board, and it's going to take a Herculean effort for him to have another win, especially with mistakes like that. There's another spot gone as Rudy gets by.
He's already got pressure from Ken Rodriguez behind him as well, with a battle for 4th place right now. Espinoza trying to hold off Macbeth.
And I think he got, oh no, Macbeth was in 5th last lap, so this is him on the attack, down to the inside, in the bus stop, cleanly through. Textbook move from Sean Macbeth. This is a lot of Speedworks cars in a row. They certainly seem to be shining here. Look at that. How many of them are in the top 10? Let's go to 14th, though, as we got a big battle going on between Uribe as he almost slides into Ravito, who's challenging him for that. Broaden, of course, also looking for a spot to get by, but it's too wide. The track is blocked in front of. They're going to get it sorted out just barely. Ravito up to 14th over Eau Rouge. And Uribe has the slipstream, but not the momentum. Behind them, that's the car that's got momentum. It's Tyler Gilmet going for 1, going for 2. Could he even get 3 cars in one straight away? He tries to outbrake Ravito, but he runs out of circuit.
Ravito almost came across back his nose here. I don't think he expected Gilmet to get that big of a run. That being said, he's going to have him down into the hill here with a lot of speed in that BMW for Gilmet.
So many cars nose to tail in this battle. They've been joined as well by Daniels and Bertome. To Kuhan they go. One little mistake will cost you so much around here. Nobody having any snaps through that double apex left-hander, hitting the lowest part of the circuit now. As we watch them hit Stavolo, having to get to the power off of here. Another place where that slipstream can offer an opportunity. Gilmet certainly used it to great effect before. Can he do it another time? He's starting to gain, Nick.
He is indeed. He's got that slipstream, like you said.
Stands the wake through Blanchemont very well, but oh, he's going to try anyways from 2 car lengths back. This is a very brave driver in that BMW. Doesn't work out, but certainly making Ravito think twice. Behind them, you saw very close between Uribe and Broaden. Pete looking down for a chance at the source, but comes back to the racing line by the time they hit the brakes.
Yeah, very poor exit out of the chicane for Tyler Gilmet that last time around that really allowed Uribe and Broaden to catch up to him.
And we got a pass for the lead happening. Flores on the attack on Acosta. He got to run up over Radillion, but once again, he has to take the outside, and once again, doesn't seem willing to risk it, or is he? He gets his nose in, coming through Malmedy. A surprise attack. It doesn't pan out. It does allow Modov to get to the back of him, though.
It definitely allowed him to reel him in. Now he's just got to keep in touch with him, and he's got to get these positions here early because we've seen him wait in the last 2 races, and that does not go well for him. Into the dirt goes the right side tires for all of these guys.
And I tell you what, Flores has friends, because if they fight anymore, you can see behind them, it is the Speedworks army. Hefner, Macbeth, Espinoza, all together ready to take advantage. And behind them, we've a little bit of a battle for the top 10. Perez has been climbing all over the back of Justin Ream, another Speedworks car, and then another Speedworks in front of them. It's John-Marc Tremblay, not too far in front. Sure, Ray would like to get a little bit of a tow from his teammate, see if he can get out of the clutches of the former champion. Perez not quite close enough for now. Whoa, a little bit too late on the brakes for Justin Rame. He manages to collect the car together and get it turned in time. Perez, unfortunately, can't get it off the corner. In fact, a fantastic launch from Justin gives him an opportunity on his teammate Tremblay, though not having anything of it.
I think 3 spots ahead of him, there was a little bit of a checkup from Federico Montini that caused that, but that allowed Montini to get a huge jump over Tremblay behind him.
And for some reason, Flores has disappeared. He's not hit anything. I think this is a connection issue. Meanwhile, you can see this battle on screen. That is Justin Rame overtaking teammate Tremblay for P9. Excuse me, for 8th now, since we are missing Flores, who's still not returned. And I've not seen a disconnect message in our chat quite yet. So he could still reappear, but it's getting less and less likely the more time ticks by. Looking back at Macbeth and Espinoza, once again, Macbeth has taken this 4th place away from Andre. He's been staying with him. Don't forget behind them, the number 7 of Fernando Borda, just basically stalking this group.
Just to report, it looks like we just got the message as well that Flores is out of this thing as far as connection goes as of now.
This is sort of bad news for the rest of the field because Modoff might be able to run down Acosta. In fact, he has closed the gap slightly. I was a little afraid that Abner might be able to use that break between the cars to get away, but it looks like that is not to be. Number 48 has turned on the afterburners. It's been 2 rounds that he hasn't won. And the last win was part of his 10-race winning streak, 11-race winning streak, rather. So can he return to the top step? He certainly got an opportunity.
He does have a mirror full of Zach Hefner right now as well, though, that he's got to deal with. That 1-2-3 machine is looking very nice right now early in the stages.
Just missed out on the win. Passed on the last lap by Dzube. And a big slipstream for Modoff. Oh, but another defensive move from Acosta. Very late defensive move this time.
And almost a little bit of contact through those turns as well with a checkup.
No change for the top 5. It is still Acosta, Modoff, Hefner, Macbeth, Espinoza. Oh, we got some fierce action. Oh, and a car almost off track. Uribe and 20th now, 21st. We need a replay of this one. This was Jerome Bertone challenging him the long way around into the cone. There might have been a little ghost contact.
Yeah, just a very tiny little bit of contact there, it looks like. Scary moment for those cars coming up. Scary moment for all those cars behind him as we look above. Dan Rooney came through. He came so close to hitting Uribe, trying to gather himself up.
Excellent job by all of them for avoiding that. Yeah, that looked like some serious net code, which is unfortunate for those two. It does give Jerome Bertone 16th, though, who now sets his sights on Pete Mobrotten. You see Uribe already trying to climb his way back through, but that's a lot of cars he's got to overtake. So we're nearly 15 minutes in. The pit window should open relatively soon. Looking through the top order, and it looks like things have settled down for our cars at the front. Everybody just about 0.3 of a second apart from one another.
Odhoff has been looking awfully aggressive the last couple laps, though. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to make a run here. Another defensive move for Acosta.
Given just enough space. Modoff's got a nose ahead. This is the best chance we've seen. Outbreaks him into the corner. The gauntlet has been laid down by our current champion. The newcomer may have come in and shown pace, but he's got to figure out how to beat him to the line when all is said and done. Zach Hefner, don't forget, only his second race in this series. He could pull a trick on both of these cars.
Yeah, that allowed Hefner to stay in touch with these guys. He's definitely got it. He's got to be sizing up Acosta right now. He knows where he likes to go on the backstretch, so that's going to help him.
I wonder if Zach's sizing up his fuel gauge, because he's been chilling back there. So I don't know if the 1, 2, 3 is in any hurry to try and take the top spot away.
That is true. Spa is quite the thirsty track, and like you said, the pit window just about opening up. It is a wide pit window, though, as we see in this series, and a lot of times these guys try to wait as late as possible to make that work.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming in early. Not from what we've seen of the pit strategy thus far. The Buckeye has time. He's got no pressure from behind because Macbeth continues to fall off to nearly a second now behind them. Ooh, he nearly gets into the back of Acosta. Oh, but Abner's going to try to pull the over-under. And I think he just might have it. They're side by side with Abner having just a bit of a nose ahead. Deep braking into La Source. And this is bringing all the cars behind back into the mix. Acosta back to the lead. Modoff to second. Hefner stays in third.
That one caught Modoff off guard for sure. That was not a spot on the track that I expected Acosta to make that move on him. But he made it work for now. Let's see what kind of run Modoff gets out of Eau Rouge.
Eyebrows get raised in the number 48 pit lane, I'm sure. Modoff with another run. He made it stick last time. Does he want to keep playing leapfrog like this, though? I think so. He's fully alongside. This time he can't slingshot completely past. Wheel to wheel once more. It sorts itself out with Acosta retaining the lead, but another over-under. And Carl Modoff slips inside down towards Rivage. He's got the line, the desired line into this 180-degree right-hander. But it's going to switch back to the outside as Acosta through No Name. Can he carry the speed? No, he can't. Carl Modoff with some very clever racing to get back to the front.
You see Acosta flashing the headlights there. He's not too happy. He gets on the curbs, almost makes contact, goes to the outside. Now he's got Hefner coming up on the inside, trying to take second away from him.
He's got a nose ahead. They're breaking into Fanyes. And just barely manages to outgun him around the outside of the first apex. All this fooling around. Look at the gap up to Modoff. It is 7/10. This is exactly what they do not want right now, because Modoff has been known to pull a Vettel and just pull off into the lead and streak away.
And don't forget about these three drivers behind him either. Sean Macbeth and Andres Espinosa, Fernando Borda. They are also in striking distance of these guys now. Especially Macbeth.
Up towards the bus stop chicane. Can they start to regain some of this time? Hold off a little bit deep into the corner. Oh, and spinning the tires off the corner as well. He's trying to hustle the car to get away, but in his efforts, I think he's almost shooting himself in the foot.
Yeah, he's got a long race to go ahead of him. He's almost halfway there. He's got to be a little more conservative at this point, I think.
In fact, that gap, which was up to 0.8 of a second, is now down to 0.6 in these few corners. That's enough for this slipstream. 0.5 between them. We're on board with second place Zach Hefner, and he is reeling him in. It could have been a breakaway for Carl Modoff, but the other driver's not going to allow that to happen. back downhill from the highest point on the circuit. I haven't seen any increase in the temperature since then. Don't have to go to it, but I can report that Jerome Bertome seems to have had a slowdown penalty. He's now dropped to 20th. Ironically, in that, he was overtaken by Uribe. The gap stays at about half a second between Hefner and Modoff. Costa, who was leading for a number of laps, still sits in third, but is certainly right underneath the rear wing of Hefner in case he makes any sort of mistake. Pretty solidly in the pit window. Does anybody dare try to take an early stop to get out of this train?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, Joe. I know that these guys really like to wait as late in the race as possible, but if I were up here on this Bix, I think I might duck out early.
An alternate strategy could give you the clear track you need. It could also bite you, could slot you back into traffic. None of them are takers. The group behind them is just as worthy as attention. There's a huge train of cars goes from Justin Rame in 7th all the way back to Eisler in 12th.
Rame under pressure right now for Montini, who's under pressure from Perez. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Jean-Marc Tremblay and Leif Peterson in between them.
And Bertome has elected to be the first car to blink. Maybe he didn't get a slowdown. Maybe he got some damage somewhere. I'm not seeing any on the car.
Oh, and we had a pass for the lead as well. Zach Hefner has gone to the top spot on the backstretch.
Just a simple slipstream by up the Kimmel Straight. And that moves the number 1, 2, 3 to the top spot. Only 2 races under his belt, and he's led the field in both races. Now, do we also have a problem with Justin Rame, or was this a connection issue? Oh, it was a connection issue. He's back. He was gone a while, though. Hitting the bottom of the hill, our new leader. And we might want to go to 8th because Federico Montini's got Ben Perez to his outside, and I actually think they made a little bit of contact under braking down into Fagnes, so Ben slots back into line.
Yeah, I definitely think they made contact through there. That seemed awfully close, and there's a little bit of a bobble from both of them. But they made it work.
Coming out of Stavelot towards Blanchimont. This could get tight. This could be an opportunity for one of them to pass. I'm also keeping a half eye on the leaders because they are relatively close to one another, but nobody breaking out of line. So staying on this, Rame defensive on Federico Montini, locks up the tires, but it doesn't matter because Rame is coming into the pits. That explains why he went defensive.
Yeah, those two teammates came in together, Tremblay and Rame. Makes sense. They're going to try to work together in the slipstream when they get out of here.
So they were well ahead of our next pitter, which was Bertome. However, I'm seeing DeZupe is the most recent to have pit. And as that happened, Uribe had a problem on track. And in fact, there was contact made. It was between himself and Corey Clark just moments ago in the bus stop. A little bit of a surprise attack. We'll back up a little bit more here. You could see the awkwardness that Uribe had to go through just to get back going onto the racing surface.
Yeah, Uribe's had his hands full all night, it seems, finding himself in trouble.
Corey Clark tried to be sneaky with that second apex, but I just don't think that was ever going to work. Up front, we missed a pass for the lead. Modoff ahead of Hefner now. Is it another slipstream pass, Nick?
It was right on the backstretch once again. Taste of his own medicine back to Hefner, and that will demote the 123 down to P2. Acosta still following in third. He hasn't made any attempts to get around him. And, same story for Macbeth back there in fourth.
This race has flown by. 21 minutes as we see this battle for 13th between Rooney and Thurman, still side by side coming through Stavilo. That's going to slow both of them up. Looks like Thurman's going to come out on top. See if you can slipstream back up to him. Rooney is trying to get right underneath him as they come through Blanchimont towards the bus stop, but he's just not close enough. And I can report that Ben Perez has come into the pits.
Yeah, I saw that out of the corner of my eye as well. He is our next pitter, and more behind him it looks like as well.
Highest pitter still Justin Rame. Daniel Rooney from Australia pits. Can get a good sense of just how long this pit lane is riding on board with Perez. From cone to cone, we're seeing it is a minute and 10 seconds plus for drivers.
It feels like a lot more than that too, especially when you can hear the cars whipping by you on the left side and you just want to get back out there.
8th between Peterson and Eisler. This has not been Eisler's race as we get a little bit of sunshine finally. Eisler started well down the order and I believe 14th.
Yeah.
And I can report also that Ben Perez has come back out behind Rame, who is now our highest pitter. Guillemette, who we see on screen, had some sort of issue just ahead of them.
Looks that way. Let's take a look at what happened.
He was slow, and is it Vargas? Yeah, he makes contact. Well, we just moved right to say we're about to hit. He must have gotten a slowdown penalty, and a bad one.
Was it through Eau Rouge, maybe?
That'd be my guess.
It would have to be, I think. 'Cause he's fine here.
Could have spun as well. Let's see. Yep, that's just a simple slowdown penalty.
It's got to be. It's got to be one of the worst spots, probably the worst spot to get on all of the whole track. It's the longest straightaway there.
Let's keep watching. This is where it all goes wrong. He tries to break into the corner, and unfortunately, I'm trying to remember who that was that he got into there in the Porsche. Both of them find themselves off track, and it was Vargas. Ooh. Some of our top drivers have pitted. Macbeth, Espinoza, Peterson, all in. Rame still the highest pitter. He's down in 24th. Everybody trying to find their pit stall. As we check in on the leaders, Modoff still ahead of Hefner. Acosta hasn't pitted either. And that leaves a gap back to P4, which is now Borda. And fortunately, he is well out of the slipstream at 2 seconds behind because of his teammates pitting.
And these two leaders have kind of pulled away from Acosta just slightly over the last couple of laps. You can see the gap there.
Macbeth and Espinoza have both finished their stops and returned to the track. They're 19th and 20th. They are now our highest pitters. Perez, who's also pitted, finds himself in a nice little scrap with Tremblay behind him. Speedworks versus Bushfink.
two big team names there, but back for 22nd right now. Like you said, working their way up through the field with pit cycles.
When they come around, once everybody pits, it should be for somewhere around 10th place. Effectively. We'll find out. If they fight too much, it could be lower than that. Vito pits. Our leaders do not. Olaf has Hefner all over his rear wing. Now, if he does not attempt to pass here up the Kimmel straight, I suspect Hef is saving a little fuel. And indeed, he makes no such attempt. Number 1, 2, 3 looks like he is trying to play some strategy games potentially.
More drivers in. Cray and Uribe, like you said there. Clark as well, Corey Clark. I'm wondering, Joe, if sometimes we see in this series all of the leaders kind of come together, whether that's the top 2 or top 3. I'm wondering if we're going to see any kind of undercut attempts here at Spa. It's such a drafty track. We've seen it already. Lots of guys try to come in with someone else.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you could just see that sort of thing happen. This is Ravito leaving. Still, our highest bidder is Macbeth. He's now up to 15th with the more cars that have come in and out. And that green card going to the inside is Paredes, who is a lap down due to his early problems on lap 1. And did Montini just get passed by Eisler? Yes, he did. Oh, he had a problem. This is worth a replay. Montini, who was in the top 5, loses a spot to Eisler.
Yeah. Heck of a save, though.
This
turns out to be.
You're going to see it in Stavilo. After here through Fagnes, this Porsche with its rear engine seems to have found itself a little too... Oh, it was the grass as well. Caught a little bit on the entry, and I agree with you. That was a heck of a save. Oh, and cars are pitting. In fact, many of our leaders. Eisler stays out. That's going to allow him to lead a lap. Modoff leads Hef, leads Acosta down pit lane. Borda is in, Montini, Federico Montini, Pete Mobrotten, Brett Thurman, JT Costin, Kenny Rodriguez, Rodrigo Munoz, Cristobal Valenzuela. Almost everybody. Gilmet is in. Only a couple cars seem to have saved enough fuel to be able to go one more lap. What about Hefner? Has he saved more fuel than Modoff? He jumps him.
He does indeed. It's going to be interesting to see them get back up to speed here on the Kimmel Straight.
And they are going to come out into a little bit of traffic. This is Duchesne, who is yet to pit. So he has no blue flags, no obligation to pull over. Acosta goes by Modoff on the straight line as well.
We were wondering as well whether or not Zach Hefner was saving any fuel. And if that calculation for his fuel mileage is correct, it looks as if he has, because that's a big gap he jumped him by.
And I'm seeing a difference of about 1 second between Hefner and Modoff in time stationary. But Acosta also saved fuel. He was about the same time as Hefner in his stall. Still waiting on Eisler, who leads, to come in for his stop, and for Duchesne, who's mixed in with the leaders. Eisler pits now.
Your winner back at Homestead, looking for a couple of spots gained.
There's our leader, or well, who will be our leader once they cycle through. He currently sits second place. And he's starting to leave the rest of them behind. Look at the gap back to Acosta.
Yeah. This shows you just how much Hefner was probably saving before compared to what he could have unleashed.
I'm not too shocked, but he's still got to try and run away from Acosta because he's pushing hard to close that gap and get back into that slipstream. This is our what should be our leader here coming now as he crosses the line. As Hefner zooms past Eisler, puts him back to P1. Where's Eisler going to come out to?
Eisler's starting to roll. Let's see.
That's Tremblay going by in that green Porsche. Peterson coming up behind him. I think he's going to get him. So is Danny Ravito. So he's trying to box him in a little bit. They're going to slipstream on by. Ravito's got a little bit more of a challenge, though, than does Peterson. Oh, and they almost come together. Wheel banging, but in the end, Christian Eisler squeaks through into P11.
A little bit of displeasure there from Ravito behind him.
Flashing his lights at him and let him know how he feels. I reported Acosta about 1.2 seconds back earlier. Well, it is now down to 7/10. The 38s turned up the wick.
And you mentioned Acosta. Hefner having to hold off Acosta. Didn't see too much speed out of Acosta in the middle part of this race, but remember back in the first 3 or 4 laps, Acosta was all over Karl Modov, being very aggressive, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the 38 go for that strategy again. Pull off some of those more risky maneuvers here late, now with less than 10 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, they're running out of laps to do this. So staying up here and watching this battle for the lead, which has been a fascinating play of strategy and speed. The major players have reduced themselves to Hefner, Acosta, and Modov, the top 3. They've got a 2.5 second gap back to 4th, Sean Macbeth. Now, that could still close because if you remember last round, Macbeth was a ways back at Monza and worked his way up to the leaders in the end. Now, it didn't work out in the end because he had contact with Modov, but I'd say Macbeth has a fair bit of speed underneath him when he wants it. Looking back at Eisler once again. Vito wants that spot back, and he might be able to take it here because he's got a handy little draft up the Kimmel straight. He's going to have to go around the outside. This didn't work out for him last time. In fact, this is exactly how it went last time. Is he going to get shoved off again? Ooh. Not quite. Eisler gave him space. You would think after what happened last time, Ravito would have backed out by the time they got to that first apex.
They've got to put it all on the line. Like you said just a couple moments ago, they're running out of laps.
With less than 8 minutes left and doing laps of about 2:12. Oh, and Jean-Marc Tremblay off course in Pujan. This was driver error.
Yeah, all by himself, just losing the grip down there. Track warmed up a little bit, maybe a couple degrees. A little sunnier down there.
We're going to watch. That's Peterson in the black and blue car behind him. Watch how close he gets. We'll need an onboard after we watch this offboard. Yoo-hoo!
Ooh.
Yeah. This is Peterson's view of the incident. There's some smoke. Suddenly there's a car perpendicular and just inches to spare.
think it was Peterson that came close to hitting a car in the early stages of this race as well. It's been a close call for the 913 tonight a couple times.
Behind them, don't forget Eisler and Ravito still battling very hard, and Ravito is looking a little anxious now. His car's squirming around under power out of the bus stop, and as they come out of La Source, he's going to try and set himself up for another go, but twice now he's looked to the outside of Lacombe. Twice it hasn't worked. Is he going to try that same side again? Is he going to get that opportunity again? Straight, he's close one more time, looking out of the diffuser of Christian Eisler. Doesn't defend, but no attack either. Vito's going to stay in 11th. We haven't missed anything up front. It is still Hefner leading Acosta, leading Modoff with that gap back to Macbeth in 4th. This is looking very similar to last round. The main difference that instead of Acosta, it was Dzube last round.
Put on board with Ravito here. Back in his battle with Eisler.
So fending him off well so far, and he only has to do so for 5 more minutes. Let's see, how many laps do we have left? Sanders coming to the line now with 4:45 to go.
Coming out of the chicane now is Zach Hefner, leading yet another lap, but will that last for potentially 3 laps to go based off of our timing and scoring?
Yeah, it'll definitely be 3, and makes me wonder, did anybody cut it tight on fuel?
Yeah.
Because they'll be very close on that extra lap.
If anyone did, it's going to be Zach Hefner, I think. He had the shortest of pit stops, but how much did he save on that first stint?
Meanwhile, Federico Montini and Josh Daniels swap positions. Montini gets up to 16th through the bus stop. Daniels already having to look in his mirrors because Brett Thurman back there stalking him. Coming out of La Source down the hill. This may have been the start line, but it is not our finish. Keep that in mind. Drivers have to go to the line off the bus stop to finish it. And that has caught some people out on where they thought they could maybe take a position. Good run up the Kimmel Straight from Josh Daniels as well as Thurman. Are they both going to be able to overtake Montini? He's trying to stop the bleeding, but unfortunately no tourniquet can manage to do that. Thurman's going to move to 17th. Daniels reclaims P16.
The battle for the lead rages on. Acosta can't do anything yet to get around Hefner. He's had a couple of goes at it, but he's got Carl Modoff behind them as well, waiting for something to happen out of these top 2, waiting for something to erupt and take advantage of it.
All 3 in a line. Look at them nose to tail. Not going to get the white flag this time. 0.2, 0.3 between each of them consistently for many laps now. I definitely think there is a waiting game happening between these 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. Acosta, I don't think wants to make that move now. I think his only choice is to try to wait until the last lap, or he's going to leapfrog right back.
They've managed to stretch the gap back to 4th to about 3 seconds now. Sean Macbeth not able to respond. If anything, he's watching behind him because he's got Espinoza, Borda, and just Borda, I should say. That's a lapped car, I guess, behind them. Yeah, Jorge Flores, who has returned, unfortunately is among the leaders, but multiple laps down. Action happening in 13th, Broaden and Tremblay fighting for the lucky position. Both of them up over Radillion. Tremblay glancing in his mirrors, looking back at Broaden. He's gaining, but he runs out of track despite a little bit of a look to the inside.
Looks like Montini also just ran into some connection issues tonight.
Oh, disappointing to see for Federico. He was having a pretty decent one.
Especially late in the race.
We might have to stay with our leaders from here on out. They're coming up to Stavolo. So they've essentially got a lap and a quarter to go. Oh, look at how hard all three of them are pushing out of that double right-hander. Pushing the track limits to try and get all the speed they can. Hefner still your leader. Acosta in the black machine. You see trailing. Modoff back there in the blue and black. Nobody attacks down into the bus stop this time. White flag is out and waving for our top three. Who is going to be able to repeat last round and make a last lap pass for the win? Through La Source. Such evenly matched cars. We have a Ferrari, we have a BMW, and we have a Porsche. All in the top three spots on the podium. Keep it clean through Eau Rouge. No cut courses to slow you down. All three of them do so. Here comes the draft. I'd say that Acosta's a little bit too far back, though, but certainly not Modoff, who's getting a double toe. He's closing in, but as they break for the corner, just not enough there.
Oh, yeah, bit of an awkward exit for Modoff as well. I think he's lost touch of him. That's going to take a lot to gain back in, but Acosta slowly trying to reel in Hefner, but hasn't he used all of the spots on the track?
Right into the tire tracks of the 1, 2, 3. Hefner robbed of a win on the last lap at Monza, looking to redeem himself. A first and a second in the first two rounds. Nothing to shake his stick at. Out of Puhan, it's looking good so far. Abner hasn't been able to respond, hasn't been able to close in and put him under threat. But he's got to survive the run out of Stavolo down towards the bus stop. That's going to be the last great opportunity for Abner Acosta. It'll be the first win for either of these drivers if they can do it. But if they tangle, Karl Modoff will be back to his winning ways. Look at him go wide off of Stavolo. Abner Acosta trying to use every little bit that he can. Blanchimont is going to put him into the wake, though. He's able to stay with it. It's going to be awful close. He could send one in. Hefner going to defend to the inside. Is that going to be able to give him the speed off the corner? They don't manage to go side by side. Acosta is going to have an almighty run, but it is just not there. Zach Hefner takes the win with Abner Acosta finishing second, Modoff third. Macbeth takes home fourth ahead of Espinoza, ahead of Borda. Close between them as well. Ravito beats Eisler to the line to take ninth. Eisler with at least a top 10. Josh Daniels leading home Thurman, streaking away in that red Porsche in the latter stages.
Battle back for 15th, Rodriguez and Clark. 17th, rather. Looks like that one's going to go to Rodriguez coming out of the bus stop. Nothing that Corey Clark can do there.
And a three-way fight for 23rd. This is Munoz ahead of Valenzuela, ahead of Vargas. I believe this is the Andes team. They're going to be 1, 2, 3 across the line. Unfortunately, a little bit farther down the order than I think they probably would have liked. Last car in the lead lap, going to be James LeBlond, who's trundling his way forward, and the Speedworks Army puts themselves in a nice little photo op at La Source. So we're going to close up here as Hefner enjoys his first win in only his second race. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on your screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. This was definitely a tense one, especially up at the front, but in the end, it was Zach Hefner. Only his second race in this series, and he manages to take the top spot after a second place in his first race. He is going to be one to watch out for. Abner Acosta, though, you got to keep him in mind. Second place, and he's been showing good speed. Karl Modoff gets another third. So despite being off the podium for three races, off the top spot of the podium for three races, Karl is looking like he will retain the points lead easily. Sean Macbeth has been trying to chase him down, but he finishes behind him. He gets a fourth today. Andre Espinoza gets a top five. Fernando Borda was just a little bit behind them in sixth with Justin Rame, going from 10th to 7th. Ben Perez, certainly not the winning ways that we used to see from Ben. He takes 8th place today, and Leif Peterson finishes 9th. Dan Ravito with a well-earned top 10.
Your winner at Homestead, Miami, a couple rounds ago, Christian Eisler, is going to come home in P11. He's going to be followed by Tyler DeZube and Dan Rooney. Dan Rooney going from 23rd to 13th, all the way up through there. One of the hard charges tonight for sure. Josh Daniels and Brett Thurman will round out the top 15 with Jerome Bertoom behind him. JT Costin, Kenneth Rodriguez, Corey Clark, and Pete Mabrotten going to be the top 20.
Mike Cray finishes 21st with Hugo Galaz behind him in 22nd. Then Pablo Uribe, he was all over the board today, and unfortunately it was mostly downwards. 16th qualifying, 23rd in the race. Rodrigo Munoz, the reverse, 31st in qualifying, 24th at the checkered flag. Cristobal Valenzuela takes a P25. One more spot gained for him, 33rd to 25th. Lucio Vargas takes P26. Danny Duchesne, who didn't get a qualifying time in, gets 27th. Gary Schilling, likewise, also no qualifying time, one position behind in 28th. James LeBlond will get 29th. And poor Jean-Marc Tremblay, first car lap down from 9th on the grid to 30th out there.
2 laps down, it's going to be Manuel Paredes and Jorge Flores back in 32nd. Poor performance for him tonight. I'm sure he's disappointed in that. Federico Montini behind them in the 5, another one after starting AP, had connection issues and follows the pole sitter back to a 33rd finishing position. Tyler Gilmet, 34th, and then the DNFs roll in. Mike Richter, 8 laps down, 35th. Maxi Sorella, 18 laps down alongside Joey Trungale, 36th and 37th. Giuliano Romagnolo in 38th, and Scott McClendon will round out our large 39-car field at Spa.
It's a popular track, Spa, and certainly a man that is going to be enjoying himself is Zach Hefner in only his 2nd race in the series. Top spot of the podium. Zach, I have to say, we are certainly impressed with the way you've performed in these first 2 rounds you've shown up.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I was a little worried initially starting 7th, a little far back, and losing the draft early would have counted me out. But yeah, I can't believe, a win.
Well, hailing from the great state of Ohio myself, I'm curious, what neck of the woods do you come from?
Northwest Toledo area.
I went to school at UT, so
go Falcons. Talons up. Get out of here with that rocket stuff.
All right. Well, the good news is I'm not that loyal to the school. So, well, this was a great performance, and obviously a great performance at Monza. But both of those are slipstream tracks. And next week, we head over to Imola, which is completely different. A lot of chicanes, very fiddly. Do you think you'll do as well there?
Imola is it's a better track. I would say Spa and Monza actually suit me a little better. Imola with the chicanes and the bumps in the middle of those chicanes proved to be a little more difficult, and keeping it clean through those chicanes is really important. I hope to do as well. So we will see in a week, I guess.
Well, best of luck to you there, and congratulations on today's victory under the cloudy skies at Spa. You earned it, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the broadcast. Appreciate the league.
That was Zach Hefner, winner today here in Belgium, and I believe actually our only broadcast, or only interview. Get your words together, Joe. So I believe that's going to close it up for today. And of course, we want to thank our sponsors before we leave the booth. We want to thank the Simulation Motorsports Association, who can be found at SIMMSA.net, as well as Frazier and Deeter. You can find them at FrazierDeeter.com if you want to check out their services. Also, a big thanks goes to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing eSports network. Make sure and head on over to their YouTube page and click subscribe so that you get lots more racing action in your YouTube feed. Thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, heading back to Italy, just a quick hop up north, and then we head back down south. That'll be Tuesday, April 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.